Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good evening, everyone. So I'm your host for tonight, V, and we will start in 3 minutes. Let's wait for the rest of the guests to come, and then we will start the amazing session. Hello, hello. Nice to see some old friend here. So we will start in 1 minute. Okay. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to join us tonight. Tonight is a very interesting night because we have Michelle from the Quest Venture, which share a very similar background with me. And I found her journey is way more exciting than what I had. So, by the time we prepare and I chat with Michelle and realize that, hey, we actually all get we both have very atypical background, like from the marketing or event to the VC and some government background too. And I would definitely say that it's a really interesting career path she had. And we will let her share more detail with us in a bit. But tonight, I think that I want to highlight one thing that if you think you or your friend might be interested in this topic, that get them in. Because I think that it's super key under COVID. Everyone thinks like, yeah, I want to do something overseas, but we cannot travel. And typically in DC, right, just like we do everything offline because we like to see people offline and, you know, event or just like do even due diligence or something. But under the COVID, everything changed. And I met a lot of startups tell me that, hey, Evie, I actually want to do something somewhere, but you know, due to COVID, we cannot deploy our team there, and just like everything kind of stopped. But I have the brief discussion with Michelle, and then it seems that COVID doesn't stop her at all. So if you want to know her secret or how to at least navigate under the influence of COVID, and then you should definitely stay tuned for tonight's session. So without further ado, let's give Michelle a warm welcome to give us a brief sharing of her story.
Thank you, Evie.
Off to you, Michelle.
Yeah, you're too kind. Could I just get the share screen right? I think it's on.
Yes, you have the right to share, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I just got it. Thank you. Yeah, I think Evie's too kind. Like she said such great things about me, but she herself has such great background as well, and she's so well connected and across international markets and startup hubs. So I'm very humbled that I'm able to share this time with all of you together with Evie. So let me just take you through maybe some context like about what my firm does and also my journey here. And also I think some people are interested to find out how female VCs do and how female leaders in startups do. So maybe I'll cover a bit of that later. Then let me just bring all of you through like some introduction background stuff. So very thank you for the amazing team at Within, Tian, Evie, and Tom for taking the time to organize this session. I know there are a lot more, but I get to know all of you first. And I'm Michelle from Quest Ventures. Quest is the top venture capital in Asia. We do have a portfolio of 90+ venture-backed companies operating in more than 150 cities in Asia. We create employment and advancement opportunities for 4,400 employees. And there's also the enterprise and ESG efforts that we use to impact thousands more. So we invest in companies that have scalability and replicability. You would see that it's usually in the large internet communities that this happens. And also when we invest in these companies, they're very young and very small. So usually less than 5 years old, and they have like a size of 2 to 15 usually. And that's before when they grow into the size of Google, Facebook, Grab, or Shopback, Carousel now, the last two we invested in. And for Quest, we do work very closely with the companies and the startups to change the world. In this slide, you would see some of our footprints across the world. So as we all know already, innovation and disruption is taking place at a rate that has never been before. And COVID really just accelerated this whole trend, right? And a lot of countries, a lot of markets who really depend on face-to-face meetings has also seen that change. Business development can be done much more easily without even going into market. And you would see that on that front, we also benefited from it from the investors' perspective. We can do deals over the screens right now and work with in-market VC friends to do some due diligence. So as you can tell, in Southeast Asia and also Central Asia is where we are more concentrated in. And we believe that for Central Asia is actually going to be the next Southeast Asia, where we also see like a huge growth and also this really great advancement of the startup ecosystem in Central Asia. So this is the three main focus that we do have. Our venture arm makes venture capital investments into technology startups and in the areas of AI, e-commerce, marketplaces, and food. There are many more, but I wouldn't read that out. And our enterprise arm works with global institutions to drive innovation and bring about transformation. So that could be in sectors of aviation, commerce, as well as smart cities. And for our social good arm, it combines capital and technology to empower entrepreneurs and uplift the nonprofit sector to deal with problems in key focus areas such as education, environment, and also female entrepreneurship. This is a Vietnamese translation. I hope it's accurate, but if you need it, here it is. And Quest Ventures also create this ecosystem beyond borders. So it's not just investments, it's not just capital, right? So it's also this ecosystem that supports and invests in startups across our accelerators and go-to-market programs. So it helps startups grow and scale beyond their local market. And this allows them to really tap into the various networks and resources that Quest Ventures and our partners do have. So the very first one is the Kazakhstan Digital Accelerator. We work with the VC arm of the Sovereign Wealth Fund over there to build this whole ecosystem in Kazakhstan and also bring them to other parts of the world, including Southeast Asia, where they have their eyes set upon. So I think that is one of the key accelerator that we do, connecting ecosystem, connecting regions, facilitating the two-way flow. Then for Scale Up Malaysia, that's closer to home from Singapore. I would say that in terms of that, a lot of companies do look at Malaysia as a place where they want to target because it's just right at the backyard. But how about Malaysian companies looking to grow and scale beyond Malaysia market itself? I think in the startup ecosystem, we keep hearing about Singapore, we keep hearing about Indonesia, we keep hearing about Vietnam, but we do see there's an opportunity in Malaysia where there is this, I would say, lower valuation of the companies as compared to the comparables in Indonesia and Vietnam. So we do see an opportunity over there, and that's why we've been actively investing. Cohort 2 do see 10 companies selected out of 20, and we make investment into 10 of them. And now we are looking at cohort 3. So if there are any Malaysian companies over here, that's your chance to find out more. Then for Vietnam Global Innovation, that is actually in partnership with the Enterprise Singapore and Economic Development Board. And that would be parked under the Ministry of Trade and Industry in Singapore. And that's mainly for national service, I would say, to help Singapore companies enter into Vietnam. And that's something that me and my team has been working on as well. And if you're interested to work with any of the Singapore companies, do let me know. I'll be glad to share more. This is our world-class mentors, which our portfolio companies can gain through Quest Ventures. And also, our portfolio companies can gain access to these family benefits. It's worth more than USD 770K. So when you join us as a Quest family, you would be able to get your cost savings right away. And we have always prioritized our partnership with Vietnam startup investment ecosystem. So since 2018, we have been working very closely in collaboration with our Vietnam partners, including Saigon Innovation Hub, to develop the startup ecosystem and connect Singapore and Vietnam. So this was a partnership to facilitate market access between Vietnam and Singapore and establish the startup investment ecosystem in Vietnam. So this led to the establishment of the Vietnam Angel Network, which was launched at TechFest in 2018. So that was happening in Da Nang then. And that was in collaboration with the Ministry of Science and Technology of Vietnam. And I would say that at that point in time, it's the first officially government-backed angel network in Vietnam. And I believe that created this early stage investment trend and kickstarted this whole next wave of VC investment thereafter. So in 2019, we are actually working with the government to continuously support this connectedness of the startup ecosystem. And I would say that this resulted in a Global Innovation Alliance in Ho Chi Minh City. I shared earlier on the Vietnam Global Innovation, that is a result of this. And also in 2020, we joined the Vietnam Venture Capital Alliance, so that's 17 VCs who are actively investing in startups in Vietnam. And we also work with a lot of our partners to really share about Vietnam ecosystem, the opportunities over there, get everyone interested about the Vietnam startups. So you could see here, these are some of our partners participating in one of the largest startup conference in the region, Singapore Week of Innovation and Technology. We actually are partners of Enterprise Singapore, who are the organizers of this. It's happening this year again on 8 to 12 of November. It's a hybrid format, so if you're in Singapore, feel free to join us. Then if you're not, you can join us virtually. Do drop me a note if you're interested to join. I do have some complimentary tickets to give away. And we also work with our fellow VCs to share about some of the things that we are looking at. In terms of open innovation, we are supportive of that as well. I think I mentioned the enterprise section of what we do. So we do work with Sun Hoa. We are one of their partners for this lab. And this is the program that I was sharing earlier on the Vietnam acceleration, right? So this is about connecting the different ecosystems together, Vietnam and Singapore. And it's under the Global Innovation Alliance, the network where Singapore and overseas partners where it is a network of Singapore and overseas partners in major innovation hubs and key demand market. And there's a focus on technology and innovation. That's a joint initiative between Enterprise Singapore and the Singapore Economic Development Board. So through the GIA, many startups have benefited from this opportunity to expand into Vietnam. And you would see that there are 42 startups being participated in this program in the past 1.5 years. And we do see that it is value adding because despite COVID and inability to travel, some of them have really entered into Vietnam, set up their teams or found distributors for their products. So something that we do think is a great initiative from the government and private sector side. And we are running batch 4 right now. So if you're a Vietnam company looking to partner up with Singapore startups, do let me know, or even investing in them. Because for them, Vietnam is a target market for them right now. And they're actively putting in a lot of resources and time for that. And if you look at investment-wise, the most recent one is the Vietnam agri-food tech startup, 𝗃𝗲𝗃𝗲. So we've led this round together with CPF Group and 𝗃𝗲𝗃𝗲. It's a USD 4.6 million round. So I think this brings me to what VCs look for in their investments. I will briefly go through this because I heard that there'll be the Q&A section where we probably would have to address more specific questions. So I think there are 6 points like what we look for in our investments. So like the first one would be having a star team. So like, do you have storytellers in your team, ability to raise multiple rounds? I think that's something that we are looking for. I think usually some founders fall into a trap that, yeah, I don't really need the money, but I just want to raise this round. Perhaps you're strategic for us. But when you ask them about the fundraising roadmap, they don't have it. And I think that's one of the red flags for VCs. Because I think what we want is to be able to see that you're able to raise multiple rounds and also like expand your global footprints. So definitely a star team is very important. And I would say that the second point would be a big addressable market. So you would have a huge domestic market if you're based in Vietnam, 3rd largest in Southeast Asia. So definitely you do have the advantage. And if you're also looking regionally, Southeast Asia is also very attractive. And if you're wondering why Vietnam startups have like a great valuation, yeah, these are the reasons. But I would also think that beyond the region, there could also be, the founders could also set their sights to other regions as well. Maybe not Central Asia, but usually I do see Vietnam companies look at US and also Europe. So I think those are some of the markets that they would next target, and that would it will bring us to understand that it's a big addressable market, and that would be a check in that checklist. And I would say that the third one would be demonstrating rapid growth. So if you're a seed stage company, then we probably want to see that there is a strong user or revenue growth and in this very big addressable market. So I think showing the chart and also like the whole curve is very important to us. And if you're a Series A and you already achieve product market fit, you need to show us the very high growth. So that is what we're looking for, the exponential growth. And I would say that you must be positioned to become the top 1 to 3 in the market. If you're the first in the market, then definitely good for you, but you definitely have to keep your eyes on like the subsequent competitors. And you definitely have to see like what kind of metrics they're tracking, what are some of their traction. So that would be something that we'll look out for, because at a point in time when we meet you, you might not be the first one that we've met in the industry, might have met some of your other competitors. If you don't have a competitor, we'll be looking around for your competitor. Yeah. Then I would say, moving on to the fourth point, it's probably the right time. We are looking for the right time. So there must be trends, macro trends that shows us that it is an industry that is positioned to grow, and there are signs of market readiness. So like adoption will not be like 10 years later, and it must be backed by traction. So that is what I meant by right time. And the fifth point is gut feel and the VC personal preference. So sometimes when you take a look at the GPs, right, you must see whether they are familiar with the domain. It's very important. If their background is in B2B, then you probably would want to reach out to them if you're a B2B startup. If it's more B2C, then you probably would like to either pitch, storytell in a way that they understand, or just drop them all together. So it really depends on how open the VC would be to something that's more unfamiliar. And usually they would try to cover different grounds. So you are pretty safe on that. I heard of ICs that have 7, 8 people, and there are also those with like 2 to 3. So definitely you just have to check in with the VC, do your due diligence on the VCs. Don't just let them do due diligence on you. And I would say that in terms of this point, right, the experience, the feel about the startup also matters. So like when they meet the startup, will there be any rapport built? I think sometimes that's what gets you to the next stage, at least for the second meeting, or even to the negotiation of the term sheet. So I think that's something that you might also want to do. You can be confident, but don't be overconfident. And I would think that that is a good point to have confidence and not think that, oh, I'm asking money from the investor, so I'm like lower. But no, you're giving us an opportunity to invest in you. Yeah, so I think you must definitely think in that manner. And I would say that in terms of VC preference, you definitely have to go and check whether they are sector agnostic or they are sector specific, or if they are like, tech specific. So they are protein funds, they are deep tech funds. So find out more and then see whether it's aligned with your business. Yeah. And the last point is just the unfair advantage. I think all investors are well versed in that. So something hard to replicate and a defensible moat. Yeah. So these are the 6 points, if I may summarize. It's a star team, a big addressable market, demonstrating rapid growth, right time, and also gut feel, VC personal preference, and unfair advantage. That sounds like 7, but it's actually 6. Yeah. And I would say that because VCs are very neutral parties and we are motivated by returns and also exits, right? So when we lead the round, you would see that your company might become very sought after. So you'll see family offices coming in and CVCs wanting to join. So I think like that is a very good signal that you can have. And also typically when a VC lead the round, it's a reference that you're very scalable. So if you want to have that message in all the investors' mind, you might want to find a VC to lead the round. So sorry for using Mandarin, but I thought that this was a very good way to help startups understand like what does fundraising success would depend on. So it's whether it is the right timing for your solution, whether it is the right market for your product whether it's the right market for your product market fit, and also whether you have the right team pitching to the right investors. Yeah. And now I move on to the next section where I'll talk more about the female in startups and VCs. I'll share more about myself because I was told to share some context and background. So I am an associate in Quest Ventures, and I would say that a normal day in life is when I look for early stage startups in Asia to invest together with my team. And apart from investment activities, I do work with startups to do capacity building. And that could come in the form of acceleration or go to market. So apart from that, I do mentor some international startups when they are looking to come to Singapore and Southeast Asia. And before my venture capital role, I think Evie mentioned as well, I was with the National Startup Ecosystem Builder. So really driving the international startup ecosystem connectedness and the internationalization of startups. And I would say that I look specifically at the East Asia, so like Japan, China, and Korea. And for Southeast Asia, I do look at Vietnam and Indonesia. Then in my role, I actually work with a team to establish and expand the international networks and partnerships to 20 cities and 14 countries. And we do set up like 2 overseas centers in China and in Thailand. So then outside of work, I do write for tech media in Asia. And this is how, if I try to categorize my work experience, this is how it will look like. So the VC for startup investment and also the ecosystem building locally and globally. So this provides this environment suitable for the startups to grow, right, and scale. And then there will be the international partnerships to help startups go global. And also the development and execution of accelerators to build capabilities of startups, enabling startup growth through the portfolio management side of things, and also writing for tech media and speaking at startup conferences. Those are opportunities for me to share about my portfolio companies and also like what Quest does and what Quest is looking for right now. So this is a little background about myself, and I can maybe touch a little bit on the female in startups and VCs. I did a bit of a consolidation of the research online. I would say that from this, we could tell that there could be more efforts to empower women in startups and VCs. I think all of us may agree. That's why we are here. And I would say that it is a number that tells us how disproportionately low when considering that women makes up 51% of the world's population, but less than 3% of the VC-backed startups are women-led. And also fund managers are women. So that's a very disproportionate number. And I would say that the chart that you see on the left side, right, is a study done for America and Canada. And only 13 to 15% of the venture firms do have women. Women make up 13 to 15% of the venture firms. And in Southeast Asia, even though we did better, but it's still pretty low at 24%. So if you take 100% minus 76, yeah, so that's 24%. Yeah, I wouldn't say that for Quest Ventures ourselves, right? We don't really have a specific gender lens investment strategy, but we do have some inclusion and diversity built into the firm. And we do have a balanced gender ratio in the firm, so like 50-50 for the entire team. And we do have a lady in the investment committee to make decisions on deals, and that would be 𝗃𝗧𝗹𝗃𝗃. She looks after Indonesia as well because of a strong background in there. She sold 2 companies to Lipo Group over there. So that's very, very amazing lady we have there. And I would say that, I wouldn't say that it's because of that, that's why our portfolio companies do have 36%, 36% of our portfolio companies are led by female founders. But I think it probably contributed to like a more diverse type of evaluation and assessment. Yeah, so ultimately we look at your business more than anything else, but we will be sure that we don't reject you just because you're a woman. So this is just some interesting fact. I don't want to stir up any controversy, but I thought this data was worth mentioning. So like a study by BCG, right, found that for every dollar of funding, actually women-led startups generate a greater return. And as you can tell, it's about double of that. So not trying to stir up controversy, but I'm just saying that there wouldn't be any subpar performance just because it's a woman-led organization. And it's definitely an advantage and disadvantage to being a lady or actually any individual in every industry. So like we just have to play to our strengths. I would say that in the VC and also startup space, being a lady could help. I think we need to learn how to use our voice to represent women and understand that over communication and empathy are not weaknesses. And being assertive is not wrong. So I think like the fine balance is something that we can control as professionals. And I believe that by supporting other women in the industry would help attract more to join the startups and ventures so that we won't feel so alone, right? And I think with that, I've come to the end of my presentation and sharing. So this is my email, and I welcome you to speak to me regarding fundraising, working in a VC, and even like open innovation or ecosystem development. And if you're interested to know about what we do, you can stay connected with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and also AngelList. Yeah, now I'll pass the time back to Evie.
Thank you, Michelle, for such an amazing sharing. So I will give you a couple of minutes to catch a break or maybe get like a drink some water. And actually, I would like to start the session from the highlight, right? So when Michelle shared that how VC look at the deal, and she referenced like the Chinese 6 Chinese character on the timing, on the people, and the place and the people, right? And as a native Chinese speaker, I do have to say that is probably the really accurate way to reference that. Yeah, I never thought about that, but now it's like, yeah, actually, it's all about the right timing. Because I do think that my personal experience, I see a lot of founders, they maybe have something more advanced, especially in Taiwan, because they kind of like a tech founder, they are super enthusiastic on the technology itself, and they do think that they can bring the best to the market. Yet timing is key. So we need to know that, is it for the market, is it the right time for the market, right? Sometimes you don't have the right ecosystem to support your service or your product, especially like, for example, recently I've been reviewing the deal about live streaming dancing or competition, and they have a really like the very high, I would say that they really need to survive in the like a stable internet environment, right? Because actually it's not or even like a 4G, they probably need 5G to and like a stable connection for them to smooth out all the experience. So it's a lot of like online education or this kind of like a live streaming, like the tutoring service I used to run in Vietnam, right? Because the first thing we ever face is that, hey, just like it's not connected and my learning experience is not good, this and that. So it's really, really key when you pitch to the VC, when you try to differentiate yourself from your competitor, you can say that, yeah, it is the right timing. Timing can be a big advantage for any company. And one key highlight is that I think one question from the chat is also covered on that topic, how the startup can do the DD to the fund, right? So I would probably answer a bit, and then I will let Michelle to cover it later. I think that it's important to know the investor before you even start a conversation, right? So normally that when you do the call, and the investor will ask you, hey, do you know anything about our fund? Normally, just like the founder will say, yeah, I glanced through your website, which they don't. And it's just like, they just try to be polite and then say, yeah, but wouldn't mind for you to give us some brief idea or something, right? But we would know that from the conversation, what kind of question you ask. Because that if you look at their website, they always cover what kind of deal they invest on their website, or you can go through on the news or even on the angel list, this and that. And I think that is the most basic thing you can ever do to do like a basic DD to the venture. Because most of the time, as Michelle said, right, sometimes they only cover probably B2B and you're like very B2C, like the topic, and sometimes they will chat to you, but you will know that maybe there's not really the fund or lead you are looking for, right? So it's really important to know their type from their previous experience, or you can kind of chat around with other founders friend who might already have the conversation with one of the associate in the fund, and maybe those people can even refer you to the investor associate from the fund. So that can really help you to have a better understanding even before the conversation start. So that will help you to build a positive image actually in front of the associate to say, hey, the person actually did the homework and we can have the deeper conversation. So other than that, I'll let Michelle to cover the rest.
Yeah, but I think if we covered everything, to be honest, I think the news definitely you would be able to find out like their fund size and also their check size. And if you just go through perhaps national databases or networks, you'll be able to find those statistics that you might require. In Singapore, it's called the Startup SG network. So I think like a lot of funds do list over there, and I believe that in different countries there are different directories as well where you can find out more about the various funds, who are the general partners. And I think one of the things that you might want to find out more, because maybe the GPs have different preferences, or they maybe have some eccentric questions that they want to like scare you off with or see how you respond to it. So I think like perhaps doing like a DD on the firm and DD on the GPs would be good. So you can find out who they are. LinkedIn is very good preliminary cut. And if you see any mutual connections, then you can start asking them. Yeah, so that's a tip, I would say.
Definitely. I think LinkedIn, present yourself professionally. Just like I think like you leave the image from the first contact point. It doesn't matter is it like a virtual or offline, right? So it's very important you show up that, hey, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm here to engage with you professionally. Okay, I think that actually we kind of jumped to the part 2 of the question on the fund side. But before that, let's go back to Michelle and her background a bit. Because I actually mentioned that she has a very diverse background. And Michelle, can you share with us how you get into the VC and from marketing and communication? And do you see how you decided to just take the opportunity? Do you see any challenge here from your the career change?
Okay, thanks, Evie. I think for me, I started out in the nonprofit sector, right? So it's actually a government-linked organization to help build startup ecosystems and really to help them internationalize. And I would say that at that point in time, I was working with companies usually in the Series B onwards. And Series A, typically they would be ready for internationalization to a certain extent, but perhaps the Series B onwards would be better. I would say that over there, my primary role is actually to help establish the partnerships. So like meet a lot of different stakeholders in the government, in the corporate, and also like investment sectors, so that I could better help these companies make the introductions and facilitate those meetings. Yeah, and usually it's also done hand in hand with some G2G type of partnerships. So, like on a G2G level, they want to drive the connectedness of like the startup ecosystem and the startup hubs. So I set up the China Nanjing Center with my team, and we do have local hires over there to run the whole program, and also like the whole co-working space, and do a lot of ecosystem development work over there. Then in Thailand, we also have one in Bangkok, the True Digital Park. So I think that's two places where we do have stronger partnerships. But apart from that, we have strong partnerships as well for Japan, where we work with organizations and government to really help the companies, the startups from Singapore meet Japanese companies for POCs, for pilots. So I would say that from that, it's more of an internationalization role, business development role. You can see me doing it for many, many, many companies rather than just like my company. Yeah, and when the opportunity arises, like maybe after a few years, then I have already done quite a bit of such work and move on to really push forward the corporate innovation side of things from the team, and also like working with more VCs networks based in Singapore, and helping like our startup community meet some of them and also do fundraising. Then I would say that I was presented with an opportunity with a VC, which is 𝗃𝗧𝗹𝗶, and that's how I ended up here. I mean, for me, I've been doing a lot of work in terms of capacity building for the startups, right? And the founders do have positive outcome. They do enter into good projects, POC projects and pilots with the partners overseas. And this is some of the things that VCs also look for in terms of their portfolio management. So it's a value add for sure. And being able to do, say, marketing even would be good as well, because over here, if you take a look at our GPs, Jeffrey is an advertising veteran. So whenever we make an investment, the whole world would know. Yeah, and that is a positive thing. And you being able to write press releases and build good relations with the PR agencies or even the tech media themselves, that is a good thing as well. So that's something that you might want to look out for if you're venturing into the VC scene. And you don't really need to be hardcore like finance person, like doing investment banking, and then you come into a VC. Like I would say that a lot of times, I'm speaking more for the early stage at least, you really need to have the ability, the human touch, and also to empathize with the founders. It's not easy, you know, like founding a startup, it's crazy. Like they work, maybe they sleep an hour and then the next day they need to hustle. And fundraising is every 12 months, but they have to start preparing maybe like 6 months right after they have done the previous round. So it's a crazy process. Having like a VC who is empathetic and also being able to support is very important. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree, because that I think as we chat, I think from the chemistry session, right? So every fund kind of like diverse, right? So there are some people, they are like a super strong on the finance and super strong on the media, super strong on, you know, talking as a human language, and everyone need to find their own spot, and you need to know that where can you shine and just highlight your strengths when you interviewing the job, right? So you don't never worry about, yeah, what if I'm not really the best finance person, or I'm not the best total solution person. But I think in the early stage VC, we normally don't look for the total solution person, because I don't think anyone can be that perfect in a way, right? You just need to know that, hey, I actually have the human touch, and I actually very enthusiastic with that, or I even was an ex-founder, I was an ex-founding member. I do know what is a startup life is, and I can empathy on the founders or the founding team's experience and really help them. Because I think be the like the kind third party, or, you know, just like the harmless third party, also as an investor, but as a external consultant, their mentor, sometimes is their best friend, or just like, it's very important. So just like, if you can really help that on the touch, I think for the early stage fund, you will find a good place for yourself, right?
Yeah, and usually when it's early stage startups, you don't really have a lot of numbers to work with. So like pre-revenue, it's very hard for you to work on those. Maybe it's just projections, but then everything is just from the clouds.
Definitely. Can you share some like the most memorable experience you have with your startup, or maybe even under the COVID, right? So some of them maybe want to expand to the other country or other city, but due to COVID, they cannot, and they really feel frustrated because they have been invest a lot on that. Do you have that kind of experience to share with us?
I think in terms of that, there wasn't like a lot of problems in terms of our portfolio companies. Even before COVID, they have set up their office in the countries that they have targeted. So I think we managed to avoid that situation. And the only issue is scaling within the market that they're already in. So because of COVID, there are a lot of restrictions. It's not just the borders closing, it's in the country itself, it's even hard to get out there, and everyone's just so afraid. And if you're, say, like a social influencer platform, one of our portfolio companies, you have to recruit influencers, you have to get people excited. Yes, everyone is on like the different platforms, but how do you reach these people now? In the past, it's really like gala dinners or like parties, and this is how you like work with all these influencers, even the micro and nano ones. But now it's so hard to even reach out to them, but definitely they found innovative ways to do that. So it's through digital means, and also like focusing more on the part of helping them earn more money. So like developing the creators economy and really furthering that. So everything become more practical, more pragmatic, but that's how things are doing better also, like in terms of their business. Yeah.
Yeah, then what is your role when your portfolio company kind of like stuck in the middle, right? Just like, well, you kind of like really jump in and really help them on that, or is it something you do, or you're more like on the back end, give them some pet talk or be as a mentor?
I think it's a mix, actually. I think if it's something with regards to go to market, it will be something that I could help more if the target market is somewhere that I'm more familiar with. I would be able to put them in touch with the relevant stakeholders. I would go into the meetings with them, be their BD rep and things like that. So I think that could be the more hands-on part of things. I could even like organize sessions where they can go and share and be the thought leader of a certain topic on certain industries. So I can be more involved on that front. But then if it's more on the parts where I may not have the expertise in, then probably I'll just give my advice based on research and talking to some subject matter experts. Then I'll put them in touch and see how they can work this out. And I would say that the whole team is very, very involved in all our startups, actually, the 90 plus of them. And usually for the Asia Fund too, usually we lead the round and we do take up a director or observer seat. And that would mean that attending all the board meetings, strategy meetings, figuring out how they should pivot, especially during the COVID period, it was crazy. Yeah, so like everyone decided that they need to change this and that, or just like a total overhaul, like a total business altogether and things like that. So like I would say the tourism industry was the worst hit, and travel tech company was something that we didn't envision to do so badly. Yeah.
I totally agree. And I like to highlight one point, just like earlier we talked about how can, like, why you need VC's money, right? So some people said, yeah, probably it's just strategic, or one is just like as Michelle highlights, it can be a really nice marketing material for the company, right? But I think the more than that is that actually you can have a free consultant, because it's super key to have someone like that in the company. Because we met a lot of founder and they are super dedicated to the business, but sometimes you really need some third parties idea on who is not fully in the game, but do share the common interest with you. So, or they can see the bigger picture of the market, right? Or they can see the synergy between A and B where you might miss it because you are just that delicate to the business. So it's really nice to have someone like that and really help be in the board or in the meeting to give you some tips or some advice, or even just think out of the box, right? Sometimes we might say something sounds ridiculous, but actually they can be end up very good for the startup. So even some founders said that, yeah, we don't really need the money because we have break even, this and that. But I would say that it's not 100% bad actually to have a VC sit on your board or to go through that journey with you, right?
Yeah, I would say that, yeah, because we have to meet so many different startups, evaluate so many different businesses, we probably would be able to pick up a good few best practice across the industry. And even speaking with the stakeholders, sometimes we're just sharing like some of what we're seeing in the industry, and you would see that the regulators actually take into account and just like really put it into place. For example, like the Singapore Exchange, right, recently just did the SPAC legislations and regulations. So I think they also consulted a lot of VCs over here so that they could come up with a better scheme. So I would think that in terms of that, being a VC-backed company comes with a lot of advantages. It's not just the signaling, but it's also the part where you get to have the first dips and also like hear the information firsthand before your competitors, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially in the market like Singapore, right? Because like the government and probably this investor are very tightly connected, well connected, or just like, or just like us, right? So you were in the G2G, and then now you are in the private sector. But as we just chit chat before the session start, we all still connected to the government and all those like decision maker. So it's very important to the company or even the founder to be in the network with us together. Yeah. Next, I actually want to like cover a bit. We talk about it briefly. Like you work with the female, the one in the IC, right, 𝗃𝗧𝗃𝗃. So can you actually share a bit of the experience with working with a female in IC? Because personally, I don't have that experience. All the IC I've been with is actually for men. So I was kind of like wondering if there's anything different you might see there, or just like how is it?
I wouldn't say there's a huge difference because for Iping herself, she's very assertive, and I don't think she lets anybody like push her down in terms of her views. And I would say that it's a very well advised views and also point of view that she has. She's done her own like analysis, homework, and she's checked with her own sources. And I would say that in the meetings itself, she probably hold the same level of presence as the men, and I would say that the conversation is not swayed by gender typically as well, because how our firm is structured is that it's pretty equal, I would say. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't see that, oh, you're a female, so yeah, let me give you more time. Yeah, that kind of thing. So I think it's not so like a conscious thing on our mind. And to be honest, I feel that personally, I'm also not very conscious about that.
Actually, there is a good sign that when you're being the totally like the a gender equal environment, because then you will not think that is an issue, right? Because that is just so natural to you. So yeah, I think it's fine. But let me like change your question. Will you see that when you review the deal in the IC, will you more care about on some like a detail, maybe some human touch, or just like more on the soft side and the hard number of like hard traction?
If we're talking about myself, it's really more of the founding team. It's more about the traction or the projected traction that they will have, and also like what are some of the strategic partnerships that they are going to forge and how they're going to build the moat around them. I would say that it's more of those than numbers. The numbers typically is after I kind of build my conviction that it's going to be a good one, then I would move on to like do the numbers to prove it. Yeah, I think that's what I believe in, at least for early stage companies. Yeah, the basics fundamentals must be there before I even look at the numbers, which may or may not exist, or it's not representative of what you might achieve in the next even like 3 to 5 years. Yeah.
Totally. I think that is super key that for us to just believe in the team, right? Because it is really the early stage, and sometimes the projection can be so wrong even just for next year.
Yes.
And we'll talk about it, what happened on 2019, right? I don't think that any firm can really correctly project what happened on 2020, right? So I think it's more about like the qualitative insight than just the quantitative thing. But I think we are almost reached the end of our talk, which I will pass the time to our guest. But let me ask the last question before we move on. So can you share the tip with our audience that how you manage to carry the cross-border activity, just like even still under the COVID, right? So everything is online. Is that if those like doesn't matter startup or organizations, they still want to do something, do you have any tips for them?
I would say that if you really want to do something despite the COVID restrictions, you can hold something as amazing as what we're doing now, like really reaching out to the international audiences and international VCs right now. And I would say that attending hybrid conferences and events would work as well. For us, it's more of the Singapore Week of Innovation and Technology. And I would say that for us, there's the green lanes that we can take. So to be honest, I think we can travel to some of the countries. I think Germany is fully open up for us to travel as well. So I think in terms of that, if traveling is not an option, then you can host virtual events and follow up with one-on-ones for more engaging conversations that's more meaningful for both parties. I would say that that's something that a lot of people have been doing. I've been talking to my VC friends over Zoom, and we're just like drinking coffee, drinking wine. So I think that's all that we can do. And if we could travel, then of course it's time for us to just like keep meeting all of every single one of them. Yeah.
Definitely. I think Michelle just highlighted right before, is like LinkedIn is really a nice tool, right? So most of the time we're thinking that, I will meet the person offline like the traditional way. Is like, I met the person offline and then I carry one-on-one with the person, probably with a coffee chat afterward, or even this and that. But now you can actually reach out through LinkedIn or just even like our community, right? Our Facebook page. You see someone post there and just be more assertive. You can just present yourself. Hey, I am Barbara. I'm actually interested to know more about your story. Sometimes it's not really 100% business, right? Sometimes we're just interested to the person as the person for dating reason or non-dating reason, right? So lots of people actually, they like to do that too. And don't miss out the opportunity, even though you cannot meet the person offline, because I think people, and we are still crave for the engagement or connectivity. If you reach out, nothing to lose. Why not, right? Then that might be the good starting point for the nice conversation like what we have now.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Okay. So now I think I will, let me see. Okay. So we have the first question from Judith. Off to you, Judith.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hi, Michelle. Yeah, thank you so much for your sharing. It was very insightful, and I learned a lot of things. Okay, I have a question that due to COVID, right? Actually, many people change to work from home now, and a lot of companies now create a lot of like home products so that it can like enhance the people life staying at home. But do you think that is okay? What kind of products or services that you think is have good potential, and do you think it's actually long term, or is it people will actually want to go back to work and they don't want to stay home for long after COVID ends?
That's really covering a very broad theme, right? So like remote working, is it gonna stick? And also if you're continuing to work from home, what type of products or services you see more people using? Maybe I'll address the remote working part first. So I would say that remote working is still going to stay. It's going to be like an on and off thing, and you probably go into the office when you have like meetings, board meetings, strategy meetings, or even like your LP meetings. I think that is when you probably need to go to the office. And in terms of working from home, I think there is the productivity over there. You cut down on the traveling time. I enjoy that because I get 30 minutes more sleep. So I think that's very enjoyable for me. And I would say that it probably would help with the productivity, and you'll cut down on, say, like the space that your office needs to be. And a lot of companies will actually enjoy the type of cost savings. But I can already imagine who will be suffering from that. But let's not talk about that. And then if we're thinking that this whole trend is gonna stay, right? So like maybe either switching from 30% work from home to 70% in the office to like the other way around. I think we'll probably be switching around like that. In Singapore, it's been the same. So like we've been going back to the office, then suddenly we are supposed to work from home as default. So I would say that it's just going to keep switching. But the demand for like the remote working products and services are going to keep increasing. So we do see like Zoom really doing very well, even though the stock prices kind of like plateau off, but we do see them grow quite exponentially to enable this type of collaboration, virtual collaboration. And I would say that Slack also did very well in terms of that. So you would see that all these collaborative tools would be very important for remote working. I think like personally, I would think that a product that would be helpful is maybe like some noise canceling thing. Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to have a meeting when your dog is barking, or like your kids just come in and just start to cry. So I think if there's something to block all this out, that would be great. Yeah, but it's probably not available yet. Yeah, but I think there are a lot of products and services that will find customers now. And one of the things that's enabling that is probably social commerce, right? Or e-commerce, you know, like now you have the 9, 10, 10, 11, 11. Yeah, so I would say that this is a typical e-commerce, but we do see social commerce coming up as well. So like a lot of my older friends, they are on like Facebook Live buying a lot of things from like Japan, and also like the overseas stores in France and stuff like that. And I think it kind of satisfied their inability to travel and do like the crazy shopaholic kind of activities. Yeah, so we do see this enabling a lot of this sales of different products and services. And I don't imagine you needing a handbag from Hermes, but you do see people buying them, yeah, because they just like it. So it's really changing consumer behavior, and I would say that it actually layers on top. It doesn't negate what was happening previously. Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
I hope it answers your question.
Yeah, you do. Wow, a lot of insight. I didn't think about all this. yet.
Yeah, actually, that is a cool question because people always ask about that, right? But personally, I do think that maybe it's a hybrid, right? Because we kind of like lots of us like really realize that actually I don't really need to be in the office to do a lot of things, and but I do see some like advantage to be in the office or be offline to see the team or this and that. So I would say that people still carry on their old habit, and what happens to us already happened, and we will still be part of this kind of like hybrid move for foreseeable future. But voice is definitely noise, or like or this kind of like a digital makeup, and like I love Zoom so much because I don't need to put my makeup now. They will automatically do the makeup for me, which is really, really great. So I do think that this kind of product really help people to be more at ease at home, be more productive at home, will be something that we will see upgrowing in at least foreseeable couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Judith. We have the next question from Ming Vu, right? Off to you, Vu.
Yes. Thank you, Michelle, for your wonderful sharing. I have one question for you. What are the ways that you assess early stage startup founders during your first few calls with them?
Thanks for your question. I think there are quite a number of things that we do look out for. So typically I will get them to pitch to me first so that I can try to understand from their perspective what are some of the key things that they want me to know. So like in the investor pitch deck, what are some of the things that they've highlighted, and hearing it from them is also very different from you reading the pitch deck itself. And in terms of what I would assess is probably like how convinced they are with their business. Yeah, if they do the explanation, they do a presentation like in a very half-hearted way, like, oh dear, I'm doing it again to another VC, then it's it's like, oh, okay, but you are the founder. You're supposed to be excited about your business, and like no matter like the million times that you've pitched, you probably would still be very excited about it. And I think we hear from the level of enthusiasm and also like how committed you are to this business, right? And I would say that thereafter we look at the opportunity, so like the market that we do have from the company, right? So the usual suspects, the TAM, the total addressable market, and also like the achievable markets that you can capture, right? And then we'll look at your competitors as well. So if we already met your competitors, you would probably be expecting some questions with regards to that. And we'll be asking, why are you doing the advertising model and not doing the sales model? And you must be prepared, so you must know your competitors. I think not to reference too much to Mandarin, but in the art of war, if you know yourself and you know your enemy, you'll win like 100% of the battle. So I think that is something that we do look out for. And I would say after the competitors, then we probably, I mean, in no chronological order, but we also look at the founding team, right? So what each of you are good at, and how having all of you grouped together would actually help to propel the company to scale. So I think maybe not just for your Series A, but also like for Series B, are you able to handle the private equity people? And what do you need to do? Like when you eventually reach IPO, would you be able to handle the company? Would you still be the CEO? Yeah, so I think that's very important for us as well. Then then probably come the numbers. Then we'll look at the traction in terms of if you're pre-revenue, then we'll look at the users, and also like if you're B2B, then we'll look at the corporate partners, the clients that you do have. And or if you are like probably 3 months old, then we can try to like do the projections, right? So ask you whether you'll be able to secure maybe like 3x this number of corporate clients. And we can hear from you like how fast you want your company to grow, or how do you have a plan for the company to grow this fast. So that's some of the questions that we might ask, but it's not limited to that. If we know the industry a little bit better, you will hear more of those questions as well. Yeah.
Actually, I have one follow-up question regard to the team and people. Would you like to see the co-founder actually in the call at the first call? Or just like at least that you see, you know, like if there are 3 of them, maybe you see 2, or you would prefer to just see maybe a CEO at the first call, or you know, any preference?
Yeah, I think now that everything is virtual, right? And you know, the problem with a virtual meeting is that only one person can speak at one time. So like having too many people in the call would not work. So we prefer to see one person doing the pitch, so that there wouldn't be this issue that, oh, you go first. Okay, can you do this? Yeah. So I think that's something that we do prefer, because the whole time then we can cover a lot of grounds. Yeah. And I would say that if it's in person, like just bring like maybe like your CTO or your CSO or even your CFO. So I think that's something that we're open to if it's in person. Yeah, but the virtual restrictions is really not so good, because we don't want to be like cutting each other off for the whole like meeting. So for me, personal preference at least, like just have one representative. If you're interested, a term sheet is issued, then the DD will probably be meeting all your key management as well.
Awesome. And another question on the enthusiast tip, right? So actually that happened to me and my friends. So I, as a very enthusiastic person, and just like whenever I pitch it, just like I started making it very vividly. And someone unlike me actually can be a very calm and introvert founder, right? And maybe she can have us interested or even more enthusiastic to the business, but she sometimes doesn't really show like me that this active, right? So what kind of like a character you'll see other than just being very active from the call, or just like to evaluate how enthusiastic the founder is to the business?
I think it from the call itself, it's also not a fair assessment, I would say. As you mentioned, it's probably one aspect of it. I think in terms of like how we can assess how committed and interested you are in your business is probably how well you know the entire operations. Like when we ask about the fundraising and also like maybe all the financials, like do you tell us, oh, I will let my CFO talk to you in a separate call. Then I know that you don't really understand, you don't spend a lot of time trying to understand the various aspects. As the CEO, you have to have the numbers at the back of your hand, and also like you definitely have to know exactly what is going on. And typically, we probably wouldn't be asking you like very, very specific questions, because you probably would not reveal to us in the first pitch. So it should be something that you can answer. And I believe you read through the investor pitch deck before you come to us. So yeah, you probably would need to know like every single detail. So that's how we make the assessment. And if we meet you in person, it will be also a better assessment as well. Yeah. Definitely.
I think you highlight one key is that you actually need to know all the details, right? Sometimes that sometimes we get to ask like very some question or specific number that we might not have the exact number in our mind, but I think it's very key that you know the what is the direction, right? So for example, you can answer that, hey, I think the number is around like a 20-ish%, but I will get back to you for the detailed number of meeting after I check the detailed number. And I think that will be a good answer to show that you actually know the details, but and you are willing to keep the communication going.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, I think like at least know like I don't need you to know the decimal point. So yeah, you don't need to share with me that, but at least you let me know that you understand where your business is going, how it's performing, and what are some of the costs, and also like how fast is your burn rate and things like that. Yeah, things that you definitely need to know as a CEO. Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, now we have our guest, Minh Dok Tan, right? So, again, if I pronounce your name wrong, please forgive me. I only have my 2 hours Vietnamese lesson, and then like I got lazy.
Hey, hi.
Do you have Ming with her?
First of all, you were pretty close with the pronunciation. That's okay. And love the conversation. By the way, enjoying the sections very much. So regarding my questions, actually, I was just picking it up from Michelle sharing about this, 6 fundamentals that VCs are looking for, and that is how the company's demonstrating itself. So my question is, let's talk about tech startups. So, there's a lot of tech startup, and I believe you have met a lot of them. So, and I understand that you mostly work with early stage as Quest Ventures. But let's say if you're looking at a tech company, it's a tech startups, and they have been a couple of years in the market, let's say 5 to 7 years. So what do you expect them as VCs to demonstrate themselves? So how would you expect them, what you're looking for from them if they have a couple of years and a little bit mature in the market? I hope that's clear.
Yeah, that's clear. I think we do have some tech startups that come to us pretty late for their early stage fundraising. I would say that typically within your first year or first 2 years, you probably want to raise your seed series A. And if you're a bit late to the game, the first question was, why haven't you been raising? Yeah. And the next question is, why are you raising now? Yeah, so I think that's the very key question, because it helps us understand why you haven't been raising for this whole 5 years, and also why didn't any other VCs pick you up while you're here for so long already. And I would say that it's a good and bad thing. I think some people want to grow the business more sustainably before the investors come in and mess with their strategy. And then when they are kind of like more ready and they feel like they have more ability to stand their ground against the investors, then they probably are more open to raise from VCs. And I would say that when that happens, you definitely have to convince the VC that it's not a whimsical decision. After operating for 5 to 7 years, you're not like you're not in debt, or you're not going to grow as fast and things like that. So I think that is something that you need to overcome, a hurdle that you have to overcome first. Then after that, we'd probably be looking at the very same thing, like your traction. So I think that's something that is something that we focus on, because you have the numbers already. So we'll start working the numbers. Yeah. So in terms of your revenue, how you're managing your costs, and also like, were there any other types of investments that you've taken, how you've been managing it, what's the ROI? I think those are the things that we'll start to really focus on, because you have been around for quite some time. And if you are not the top 1 to 3 companies in your sectors, then that could be an issue, because VCs like to invest in category leaders. And if it took you 5 to 7 years and you haven't reached category leader status, then we'll be like, do we really want to fund you? And I think the next question would be, would you be able to fundraise further? Yeah.
Yeah, actually, there is a great question. Yeah, no, because like I would like to follow up on Michelle's comment, right? So just sometimes we do see like a startup normally raising a bit late, and the common issue is that, or not really issue, I would say is a blessing, is that they manage to break even in a very early stage, or with their own, bootstrapping funding, right? So they don't need that until that they realize that they kind of stuck there. Then they started, I might need some external money. So even though for those like who bootstrap and manage to break even, would you recommend them to like start fundraise at what stage, or just like or if there's a number, or like some criteria for them to really start thinking about, yeah, maybe even though I don't need the money, but I should raise to fuel my growth on time.
I would say that even though it's not preferred for VCs, because it probably would be worried about the next round of fundings. But if you could perhaps share in terms of if you're consumer facing, then perhaps like the GMV and the net revenue. I think net revenue, it can be any company. And since you're already 5 to 7 years already, then probably you need to show the profitability. Then sharing the unit economics and having a positive one would definitely be good. I would say that the rest to show traction is really more of the number of users, engagements, how you upsell and cross-sell, the different strategic partnerships, clients that you've achieved. I think if you could show traction in those formats, it would still be very exciting for us. And the fact that if you could show that your growth is exponential as you're growing towards like profitability, that would be exciting as well. And I would say that actually after some not scandals, but some issues in the startup investment space, we do look for companies that have a path to profitability. So definitely a plus point if you're already profitable, you broke even, and you are set to grow like exponentially with this investment that we are putting in. So if you could help us see that opportunity and not make it a risk, then definitely you would see the VCs coming in.
Well, thank you for your answer. That was great. Yeah, love you guys' energy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have our fourth question from Kwan. Kwan, off to you.
Hi, Michelle and Email. Nice to meet you. I have like one question about like it's weird that like if like we ask the VC to be as our mentor, because like I have to say that like maybe like I'm not sure for the other startup, but like for we start with the angel investors, so like we don't have like the mentor. So like it's weird that like we ask the VC like to be as the mentor, like even like they're not like invest in us right now, but like it's quite weird because like we need to ask them about the funding, the business model, and it's like everything that like normally that you say that like you ask us, but this time like we ask us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think then probably these mentors haven't invested in you yet, right? You're saying that the mentor haven't invested in your company and you're getting them to advise on funding, product, business model. I think it's pretty typical arrangement for quite a number of accelerators, incubators, or even like government programs. So I wouldn't think that it's weird to ask them to advise. It's actually the exact reason why they are there. Yeah. I would say that when we also like do this kind of ecosystem work, so like I do go on to be mentor for some of the programs, some of the accelerators as well. So addressing things like funding, product, and business model are pretty normal stuff that we talk about, but maybe more on the funding side of things, like the fundraising, because that's like our bread and butter. If someone has like product management skills, if the VC does have product management skills, you can ask more about the product. But business model, I would say that all VCs would be able to break it down for you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Because like we are not like, how to say, like we're not confident to advise, like to talk with the VC like for everything, because I think that like it's weird or not. So like thank you for your like comment. Yeah.
No problem.
I think it's not weird at all, because actually for the early stage VC, right, we definitely like to keep a close eye on the like a potential startup. So that will be our honor actually to keep connected to you so we keep the information exchange, and we know that what is your progress when you like time to raise, and then we can actually cut in the right time, right? So we definitely like that. Just one point I want to highlight is that I think this kind of mentorship might not be that as official as you or lots of people might imagine. Like, okay, we actually have this kind of like a committed relationship, right? Like you committed to your partner. Okay, now you are my boyfriend, you're my girlfriend. No, it's not like that. It's more like, yeah, we are connected, and then on and on you might pop up some question to the person as a friend, right? So you might message Michelle as offline saying that, hey Michelle, I might have some question to you. If you don't mind, can we have a coffee to chat about that? So we don't really have this kind of like a monthly meeting or something, but on and on, we definitely like to keep the connection and love to keep in touch with you. But as Michelle mentioned, topic matter too. So don't try to use a VC as like the general, like a wiki that you ask them everything. Just because they typically very busy. So ask the key question, normally with the fundraising or leads kind of like a product market fit or go to market, or someone like Michelle, you can ask her like, hey, can I pull some government resources, or do you have some connection? You can refer to me. These kind of like questions, then they will be more appropriate. But in general, that we are very happy to do that.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. So I think we are hitting the end of the time. We have 4 minutes left. And let me, okay, I think because I see one question, but I don't know who. So if you are the one ask the questions, please like open your microphone and say your name, okay? So there's a question like, how startups use social commerce to simplify transaction and increase customer engagement in their early stage business. Do you have any comments on that?
Okay, so I think in terms of social commerce, right, simplifying transactions, I would think that it's not simplifying, but more of pushing it out to the community. Yeah, so like instead of you going onto your e-commerce, like maybe to Lazada or Shopee, and look for what you want, they are actually pushing it to you so that you can discover what you don't want, yeah, or you don't need. So I think like this is the part of social commerce that is like presents a huge opportunity, because you are getting people to buy a lot more than they need or want. So I would think that in terms of that, definitely social commerce is an area of interest. And in terms of the transaction, I would believe that some companies might use Shopify, which is, if you're a D2C brand and you use social commerce as a tool, then you might use Shopify for your digital storefront. And that simplifies the whole transaction, because now you don't need to go to the e-commerce platform, and then the platform needs to go to the brand, and then after that to the logistics company. Everything is just done without so many middlemen. So I think that simplifies it. But on the consumer side, I can't imagine it simplifying too much. Maybe it's the part where you don't need to keep searching. Yeah, so I would think that that's one of the way that you could simplify the transaction. And in terms of increasing the customer engagement, because it's a push notification, like someone is live now, buy now and stuff like that. So I would say that the engagement is actually super strong. And if you become part of the community and you keep trying to get limited edition handbags, watches, and things like that, you'll get hooked to it. And then I would say that that's where the engagement is the highest. And also a lot of the influencers doing this social commerce, they are very humorous, they are very entertaining, and they become creators who can sell, and they will gain a huge following. People would just tune and hear them talk about products just because they are entertaining and they are funny. I have a friend who actually just use it as a way to de-stress, and she always like spends huge amount of money for no reason. Yeah, so I would say that that's how social commerce is working out, and I do see huge opportunity over there.
Definitely. And I was one of them. When I were in China, actually, back then, I always open the Taobao and just like, here's all the top leader like 𝗔𝗱𝘃𝗃𝗿𝗲. The guy talk about lipstick. He's a guy, but
Wow.
he is one of the best lipstick seller on Taobao, right? So it's so much fun. You just see him like streaming and doing this and that. But I want to highlight one thing is that you definitely need to know who is your target audience, right? And you select the way, or you stream it to fit their style, right? So it's very important still, you need to get back to the roots, is that who is the one that you actually want to engage with, and how you kind of like market yourself, or how you brand the whole product is very, very key. Okay, we are reaching to the end of our time. So let us now start the picture time. So I will off the time to Tom, and she will, do this important job for us. So everyone, please open your camera. Then let Tom to take the photo for us.
Okay, everyone. So please take your time, open your camera, and then we can save the moments that we have today with Michelle and Evie.
Yeah. For those who doesn't know that actually Zoom get like cosmetic function. So you can just click on the setting. Next time you don't need to,
and also the eyebrows.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also
that's right. Okay, so please leave everyone about a few more seconds.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see some special effect there. It's very, very nice. So that is the fun for online meeting. No one will ever do that in the offline, like a serious meeting, but it's kind of fun to do that here.
True that.
Okay. So I think everyone is ready. Some is putting on the filter already. So let's me counting. 1, 2, 3. Cheers. Okay, another page. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think we got it. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Especially thanks, Michelle, for the sharing and super nice energy, and with all the like valuable experience. That is definitely, I think, like really a mind-blowing session, and I definitely love the way she talked and the speed she talked to. So it's just like we kind of match our talking speed together, and that's the part we sing and I really love. So we have our next session on 21st of October. So I will talk with Feng from Wavemaker, who, for those who haven't followed us on the social media, it doesn't matter on LinkedIn or on the Facebook, please do. Then you can get tuned with our information, with all the events. And next, we actually have the VVCP, so just like Vietnam Venture Capital Program, taking place on the 23rd of October, a couple of days after our next session. If you are the founder actually who would like to know, have a bit deeper understanding on how VC think, maybe how to do the due diligence with a VC, or you are the one that interested to be the VC participant, then you can join the program and learn more from of the industry. And for those who is interested, that I think my colleague is Lee. So yeah, I think she will send the contact point in the chat box. So if you are interested, then you can just contact my colleague through the information from the chat box. And last but not least, that thank you for your time and stay with us for the whole night, and actually tune in for or like just be part of the group. and sharing the amazing energy with us together. So we would like to hear from you for your feedback, just like or any questions you have. I see some question to Michelle that very specific to your own industry. I think Michelle will be more than welcome to see read your email that or give you some personal feedback offline. So if you have some like questions or you would like to get Michelle's attention, maybe you want to bring the deal to her, please feel free to email Michelle to have the deeper conversation offline. So I think that covered most of the things that Tom, do I miss anything?
No.
No. Okay, then thank you for your time and have a good night. I will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you,
like for spending the time with us together.
Oh, really, thank you. I like the energy as well. Good night.
Good night, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Evie.